Hi everybody. Today we are going to describe our new lesson. Our new lesson, it talks about the lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse, it's another type of astronomical phenomena, but it happens at night. The lunar eclipse, it's an astronomical phenomena that happens when the sun, the earth, and the moon are nearly on one straight line. And this time the earth is between the sun and the moon. Don't forget, the earth is between the sun and the moon. And as you know, we are going to have a dark inner shadow here, which is known as umbra, and outer faint shadow here, which is known as penumbra. Number one, when the moon, the whole moon, is in the umbra area, this is the first type of the lunar eclipse, which is known as total lunar eclipse. This is number one. This is called total lunar eclipse. During the total lunar eclipse, the moon seems to be red in color. And this is an important reason. The moon during the total lunar eclipse seems to be red in color. Why it seems to be red in color? Because the earth is going to absorb all the sunlight and reflect only the infrared rays on the moon. One more time. When the whole moon enters in the umbra area, we have total lunar eclipse. During the total lunar eclipse, the moon seems to be red in color. Give reason: because the earth is going to absorb all the sunlight except the infrared rays, which are refracted to the moon. So it seems to be red in color. And as you know, the moon rotates in an orbit. But what happens when the part of the moon is in the umbra area and the other part is in the penumbra area? When a part of the moon is in the umbra area and another part is in the penumbra area, this is the second type of lunar eclipse, which is known as partial lunar eclipse. Partial lunar eclipse. Okay? The other type, when the whole moon becomes in the penumbra area, the moon seems to be faint. Faint, it means white color, but faint. It's not clearly white, and it's not an eclipse. I'm going to say it one more time. We have only just two types of lunar eclipse. Number one, total lunar eclipse. When happened the total lunar eclipse? It happens when the whole moon is in the umbra area. And it seems to be red in color. Give reason: because the earth absorbs all the sunlight and refract the infrared rays on the moon. While when a part of the moon is in the umbra area and the other part is in the penumbra area, here is the second type of the lunar eclipse, which is called partial lunar eclipse. But when the whole moon enters the penumbra area, here or here, the moon seems to be faint in color, and this is known as lunar non-eclipse. Of course, the lunar eclipse, it depends on the presence of the moon. So it happens at night, not during the day. It happens at night. And you can see by your naked eye. You don't need any precautions to notice the lunar eclipse. This is number one. When it happened? It happens in the middle of the lunar month. The lunar month, it's the Arabic months, which is Rajab, Sha'ban, Ramadan, Dhul Hijjah, Dhul Qa'dah. All these are the lunar months. It happens in the middle of the lunar month. Give reason: because in the middle of the lunar month, the earth comes between the sun and the moon. This is number one. Number two, you can see it clearly twice a year. One more time. It happens in the middle of the lunar month, and you can see it clearly twice a year. And it doesn't need precautions in order to notice it. What about the duration, the time of the lunar eclipse? The time of the lunar eclipse may be 1 hour and sometimes 2 hours. And you can notice it by your naked eyes because it causes no harms to the eyes. Now we are going to make a comparison between the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse. Number one, the solar eclipse, it's a phenomenon that happens when the sun, the moon, and the earth are nearly on one straight line and the moon is in the middle between the sun and the earth. While the lunar eclipse happens, it's an astronomical phenomenon that happens when the sun, the earth, and the moon are nearly on one straight line and the earth is between the sun and the moon. This is number one. Number two, the solar eclipse happens during the day, while the lunar eclipse happens during the night. Number three, the duration or the time. The time of the solar eclipse is about 7 minutes and 40 seconds, or 7 minutes and few seconds, while the time or the duration of lunar eclipse is 1 hour and may last to more than 2 hours. Number four, we have precautions during watching the solar eclipse due to the harmful rays emitted from the outer solar corona of the sun. So we should wear special glasses during watching solar eclipse. But during lunar eclipse, no precautions. You cannot sit by your naked eyes. The next point, we have 3 types of solar eclipse, which are total solar eclipse, partial solar eclipse, and annular solar eclipse. The total solar eclipse happens in the umbra area, in which we cannot see all the sun because the moon is near to the earth, so it seems to be big in size. While the second type, which is the partial solar eclipse, it happens in the penumbra area, in which we can see part of the sun, so it's called partial solar eclipse. While the last type, it's annular solar eclipse, and the annular solar eclipse, it happens when the moon is in a higher orbit, or in another way, when the moon is far from the earth. So the sun appears as a lighted ring, because when the moon is away from the earth, it seems to be small in size and it cannot hide all the sun. While on the other hand, we have only 2 types of lunar eclipse. The first type is total lunar eclipse. It happens when the whole moon is in the umbra area, and we said that the moon seems to be red in color. While the partial lunar eclipse, it happens when a part of the moon enters, part of it is in the umbra area, while the other part is in the penumbra area. And be careful, we have annular solar eclipse, but we have no annular lunar eclipse. And this is an important question. Why we do not have annular lunar eclipse? Because the earth is greater than the moon, so it hides all the sun rays from reaching the moon. I'm going to say one more time. We have annular solar eclipse, but we do not have annular lunar eclipse. Give reason: because the earth is greater than the moon, so it blocks all the sunlight from reaching the moon. And this is the end of this lesson. Thanks.